Ting. Thank you for having us on again. So welcoming. Thank you for that. Today we're coming to you live with a brand new product. We are going to be showcasing the Arc Reactor. But I'll let my team handle that. You know, Team Charlie. Thank you. What I will be discussing today is going to be the article topic we had and what we feel is necessary and what we need. Okay?
Hey everyone. A big issue that I saw when we posted the article about renewable energy in developing countries was the country itself, and if it's still developing and doesn't necessarily have the frameworks or infrastructure in place that actually efficiently use this renewable energy.
Carlos brings up an amazing point. So, I just want to go over a few things. 1 billion people still live without electricity. Hundreds of millions more live with unreliable or expensive power, which poses a key barrier to economic development in emerging economies. Just like Carlos said, in which countries, what are these barriers? So, both grid and off grid solutions are vital for achieving universal access, but they must be supported by an enabling environment with the right policies, institutions, strategic planning, regulations, and incentives. With that being said, and going back to our article stated here, it says the World Bank is committed to helping countries work towards universal access to affordable, reliable, and sustainable energy as a key part of delivering on its twin goals of eradicating extreme poverty and promoting shared prosperity. Once again, since 2010, the bank has been serving more than 5 billion for energy access in over 35 countries through some 70 projects. That's 35 countries right there, guys.
This goal ties into the whole country is still developing itself. In which I do agree with y'all. If the country is still developing itself, it needs to work on itself. But with electric energy, with renewable energy that a country can use for multiple things, say lights, just basic power necessities, I feel like it helps.
Here at Project Society, we look to solve the energy crisis throughout the world with the Arc Reactor. The Arc Reactor is a power source built around the idea of a device that is small yet powerful. The intended outcome will be a device that is a fraction of the size of huge power plants, but with either the same output or more. We intend to use smart renewable energy to help provide for our customers, so that way we not only solve the energy crisis problems throughout the world, but also help save our planet. So how exactly will this device solve our energy crisis? With proper funding, we can start researching and testing our designs to help amplify our energy sources. Developing countries do not have access to electricity due to cost and other limiting factors. Construction of power plants can be expensive, and the upkeep in itself can also contribute to its expenses. But with the Arc Reactor, we can limit the size and cost of these locations to very small buildings. Not only will be cutting the cost here, but we also find ways to amplify the energy received, so that way this small generator can provide large precincts or maybe even cities by itself power. We will need to build off of current day amplifiers that take small signal inputs and creates larger outputs on the other end. Phase 1 will be learning how to create a high output amplifier to create large amounts of energies from low input sources. Phase 2 will consist of shrinking the form factor down as small as possible to allow for a small area of operation. Like I said earlier, cutting down on these large manufacturing sites. Phase 3, which will be our final phase, will consist of renewable energy being located to this device and then offloading any additional energy into a container of some sort, like a battery. These backup batteries will allow for a failsafe in case the Arc Reactor requires any maintenance or additional power is needed in the future. This will allow us to not only create more energy throughout countries such as the United States, but also allow us to help smaller developing countries that are without power currently today. The Arc Reactor will provide these regions without power a huge power source that can be used in large and small cities. If we can bring more people the power of electricity, we might see more individuals become future engineers that can help shape the future for better. Who knows? The next Elon Musk could be living in a place without proper resources for him or her to shine.
Are going to try to train as many people on how to use the technology at hand, and those people can be able to train the locals and try to pass on as much knowledge as they can about these because these generated power boxes. They're supposed to generate enough power for almost a whole block. So if we can keep them short, keep them a little minimum, but slowly mass producing each one and increasing it so we can put them all over the world, would be beneficial and greatly help. But for right now, we need a select group of individuals that are very smart and don't mind sharing off the knowledge they have to the locals to be able to keep this renewable energy in place for a whole group of people.
We will now look at what the community thinks of the power crisis throughout the world and why this product is needed right now. AK has the latest feedback and our responses to that feedback. Thank you.
Hey, what's up, everyone? I know everybody has a lot of questions. I'm going to start answering a couple questions here that we posted along with the article. I'm going to give you some feedbacks and tell you what people liked about it. One of our questions was if people still know that there are majority developing countries still out there that require electricity or don't have any source of electricity. And a lot of them agreed that yes, there are countries out there that are still developing and do require source of electricity and are not able to because of the cost or products that they cannot build to create electricity. Other question was if there are still sources that are costly to them, like installing solar panels or windmills or water-powered energies. And if they were costly, like if they're developing countries, cost is one of the things that they're going to be looking at very, very deeply. They're trying to budget their costs to see and keep their economy surviving while making those develops and making their country better. So yeah, it is going to be a lot of costs for those countries. The other thing was, would this affect any changes in the economy? Would the changes be positive or would it be negative? Most of the feedback was that it would be positive since they would be more affordable to get energy because of the product. It'll be a lot easier of storing electricity and providing and creating electricity. But there were some negative hands to it, saying that if it becomes easier for government to provide that electricity, they're gonna start charging them for it more than they should be to make money off of it, which could in a longer run still harm the normal people or the civilian. To get electricity at the end of the day will be the same thing to not have the electricity or have it but pay way expensive for it, like paying way much for it. And that was one of the negative parts, which is totally understandable. Another was, does having electricity or not having electricity affect the education, and does that eventually affect the country itself, being that there are too many people that are uneducated or educated? A lot of us said yes, education is affected if we don't have electricity. It is true. I mean, a lot of studies nowadays are done on internet. Everything's online, so requiring internet, requiring light, you do need electricity to end up doing the whole thing. So yes, in a long run, it does help education if there was a way to find cheaper electricity and store it for a long while, so other places where it's harder to store has it available for everyday use. We also asked if there are other ways, if other ways to provide this kind of electricity. A couple major things that in our product we were trying to do was have one product that is able to do it, to create electricity different ways depending on what or where, based on the geographic feature it is placed at. That being said, like if most of our thing was solar and wind power, our product was trying to get a solar or wind power electricity. So what are other ways that could have helped? And a lot of people said hydro pumps or water plants would help provide that kind of electricity, which is true. Hydro pump, as according to our research, is still a lot expensive to get hydro pumps. We are trying to make something, our product was to try getting something that's affordable, easily moved to a different location depending on the needs, and portable, so it's not a big huge thing just stuck on the ground. It's something you can like maybe put in the back of the trunk and move it around if needed to. So water powered could be actually helpful. Water sources, there are a lot of water sources around the world and you can use it to create the electricity. I like that. We definitely would like to get that in our product, but we are trying to create something portable where anything could work in the product. So if there is a geographic feature where sun is not as much as any other, maybe you can use water to create the electricity if sun is an issue in that geographic feature and you don't easily find sun, or maybe water is an issue like in a desert or something and you're able to find sun or wind, then you can, all you have to do is like change paths, and now the same product would be able to create wind power insurance, and then if it's no wind then they will use sun. So it's portable, it can do all three at the same time instead of just doing one thing, and it's a big huge machine. Other thing was about the maintenance repairs. Would it be an issue for maintaining and repairing all small issues or keeping up with the product itself, since it could do all these different things, like it could be water powered, or it could use wind to power it, or it could use solar to create electricity, depending on your geographical needs, whichever earthly source you have and you can use. And a lot of the feedback was, if able to teach the civilians or the people that are near that village or near around those products, would be easier. This way you'll have people that has jobs, and not, you won't have to go out there every little while to fix small issues or do small maintenance, and they can do that unless it's something big issue where more knowledgeable tech has to go out there and fix it. So those were some of the ideas. Thank you, and I'll hand it over to Stephanie.
Carp Tank family, we are asking as Project Society for $1 million to make the arc reactor a possibility. With that being said, we are offering 10% equity in our company. You won't regret it. We appreciate everything you're doing for us, and hopefully this will go worldwide. Thank you.